Hello, Africa, and welcome to this live edition on Nigeria Elections 2023. With me, your host, Josey Mahachi. Nigeria elections will be held on the 25th of February 2023, and 18 candidates are vying for Nigeria's presidency. Today, we will be talking about three candidates who have emerged as top contenders in the tight race to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari. Bola Tinubu of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC and People's Democratic Party's Atiku Abubakar. I also have Labour's Party's Peter Obi, and joining me to have this conversation, we have Ayobami Oyalowo, who is the spokesperson for the APC Presidential Campaign Council. Good evening, Ayo. How are you doing?
Good evening, Josey. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we
Thank
also
you.
have Demola Olarewaju. He is a special assistant on digital media strategy to PDP Presidential Candidate. There he goes. Demola, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We can't see you though. I don't know what you did to your camera.
The pleasure
Also,
is mine. Yeah.
okay, as you fix your camera, we also have Akin Olaoye, Labour Party political party members.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Akin Olaoye.
Yeah, like I told you, I'm not going to be perfect when it comes to pronunciation, yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm not from that part of the world. But let me start with you, Ayo. Your candidate, Bola Tinubu, he served as the governor of Lagos State for 8 good years. What change is he promising for the entire country if elected president?
Yeah, hello, good evening. Thank you for having me and thank you for your question. Well, when you want to hire a man for a job, the most important document you require from the man is his CV, isn't it? And your CV normally will consist of your past achievement in the offices or the places where you've worked, isn't it? Now, Lagos is a prototype, a model city in Nigeria that is a place where you can have what you can call a mini Nigerian, a mini Nigeria. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a governor, was able to change a lot of story of Lagos State. Firstly, his cabinet was the most diverse cabinet ever witnessed in the history of Nigerian politics at that time. He was able to pick his commissioners based on performance and their key attributes he was looking for in terms of the ability to develop Lagos State. And for that reason, he didn't pick people who are just Lagosians. He picked people from every part of the country. People, for those who are not Nigerians, we have different tribes, we have different race, we have different religion, but he didn't bother to pick people from where he come from alone. He picked people from everywhere. So, firstly, that means he has the ability to unify Nigerians. He has the ability to bring people together, no matter their differences. He has the ability to identify good talent. He has the ability to identify good people. So he was able to do that. And secondly, when he came in on board as the governor of Lagos State, as at the time, has a reputation to be the most dirty or the dirtiest state in Nigeria and probably in Africa, maybe even the world. But he changed that whole story by bringing the Lagos State Waste Management Board. And today we have an efficient waste management system. He also was able to help manage the public transportation system. As at the time he came in, Lagos was a jungle of yellow buses and yellow taxis. He was able to streamline that, bring in what you call the bus rapid transit system. Today we have the BRT running. And he has also created some blueprint that the people who came after him were working on. As I speak with you today, Lagos State will be the first city in Nigeria that will have an intercity rail system that works. He also was able to, Lagos, as at the time, many people may be too young to remember this, but as at that time, if you go to one place called Surulere in Lagos, it will give you an idea of what Lagos used to be. There's a place in Lagos called Surulere. Everywhere in that area is gated. And the reason for the gate, people don't know. As at the time, before Tinubu became governor, Surulere and Lagos was clearly a criminal den. The level of armed robbery in Lagos was unprecedented anywhere in Nigeria. He was able to work with the federal government, equip the police, change the system, and until today we still have the most modern policing system in Nigeria called the Rapid Response Squad, the RRS in Lagos. So these are some of the accidents of the man Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we believe what he has done in the past qualifies him eminently to be able to bring this wealth of experience to Nigeria and help to galvanize the economy. Thank you. I'll hold it for now so that the others can have their airtime, and then we'll take it up from there going forward. Thank you, Josey.
Okay, but Ayo, before you allow me to go to the next person, we are talking of Bola Tinubu when he was probably in his 50s or whatever, and many people call Bola Tinubu a kingmaker. You mentioned some people that he has actually made who they are today, but it doesn't mean that if someone is good at as a kingmaker, they are good to lead, right? Because these are some of the comments, or rather the questions that we've been getting from people to ask you today as we're preparing for this live, that how are you so sure that he was good as a kingmaker, he will be good as a
But
leader?
I didn't.
And also Bola Tinubu, many say that he is a god of corruption. What have you got to say about that?
Well, firstly, to the issue of the kingmaker thing, I just told you what he did as a governor. And that means he did it not just as a kingmaker, he did it himself as a king, in quote, as at that
Yeah,
period.
but when it comes to him as a governor, that is when people are now saying that he was a god of corruption. What's your
Yeah,
comment on that?
I think you are. Let me finish. I said I'll take both sequentially. Hold on. As a governor, he was excellent. He was able to pick the best team that most of the people that work with him today are still very relevant. Nobody else can talk about themselves in terms of such relevance. And as for corruption, that's a very funny one. You see, we've had a lot of stories about pinning things on a man, things that you cannot pin on him. Which court of competence jurisdiction has condemned him, or has how do I put it now? Which court has condemned him? Clearly, they have taken him to. There's a court we call the Code of Conduct Tribunal in Nigeria. They took him there under an opposition government. He came out unscathed. The court vindicated him. So whatever anybody says is political. It's throwing mud at people, and it doesn't make any difference to us. People will always call anybody corrupt. It's an allegation. If you have any reason to actually claim he's corrupt, take him to court. It's a simple thing. If you can't take him to court, if the opposition government that used to be in power couldn't jail him for any allegations, why do we continue to sing a song that is stale? It's politics. People say all manner of things. I've heard horrible things about people, even about myself. At times, I wonder where did this story come from. It's a normal thing in our kind of clan where people will do anything to get power and they will do anything to bring down their opponents. Those are stories, those are allegations that cannot be proven, that has not been proven, and that can never be proven because they are not true. So we are not bothered. That is not an issue for us. Thank you.
Okay. Now to Akin. Akin, sorry. If I don't pronounce your name very well, please forgive me, right? We just want to know from you. Many are saying he is the change candidate, but he is also been around in Nigeria's political scene. We are talking of Peter Obi. But the good number of online users are arguing that he is the man to transform Nigeria. Why do you think he's the man suited for this particular job? Aki. Okay, he must have. Maybe he's having issues with his internet. Akin, can you hear us? All right, let me take it to Demola. You are representing PDP. Abubakar Atiku served as the vice president from 1999.
Thanks for having me, Josey. So again, I will first start by talking about the candidates, speaking to the issues. Oh, just me. You hear me here?
Go ahead, but I think your network is dropping, but we can hear you. Can you go ahead? Okay, we must have lost him there again. Oh my God, network sometimes. Now let's go to you, Demola. Abubakar Atiku served as the vice president from 1999 to 2007. During the presidency of Olusegun Obasanjo, he ran as governor of Adamawa State 3 times and also had a step at the presidency 5 times. Why do you think this time he will make it, and why should Nigerians vote him in?
Thank you, Josey. It's a pleasure to engage with you this evening. I think Atiku's runs over the years have prepared him for this job, and they've contributed to why he is the most prepared candidate in this race. As of today, Atiku Abubakar is the only candidate who has a manifesto that is posted in public for Nigerians to engage with. That manifesto has a 5 point development agenda under 5 different headings, which we have an acronym for, which we call the Unity Seed. Unity as a standalone, security as a standalone, E for economy, the second E for education, and D for devolution of powers. Um, Again, Atiku Abubakar is the only candidate presently running on an agenda of restructuring under the idea of devolution of powers. It's important to note that a lot of the other candidates are beginning to echo this particular point of devolution of powers, because the way the Nigerian state has been over the years is that you've had an over centralization of powers in Abuja, in Aso Rock, in the presidency. And Nigerians note that the other candidates, our opponents, often talk about what they will do when they get there. And this has been the same trajectory of Nigeria from past years. You have someone who says, when I get there, I will make a change. But Atiku Abubakar, because of his experience in governance, understands that the most fundamental aspect of Nigeria that needs to change is the way Nigeria is being administered. In other words, you cannot govern a space as big as Nigeria from Abuja. You can't change it from Abuja. You have to devolve powers to the state government and the local government. And that's a strong part of his policy, and why we believe that Nigerians will trust him with power. I should also mention again that all the other candidates, especially the major candidates, they have a track record of being governors, which is enviable in Nigeria. Bola Tinubu has been two-term governor of Lagos State, as Ayobami mentioned. Peter Obi has been two-term governor of Anambra. Rabiu Kwakwanso, who's another, contender in this race, has been two-term governor of Kano State. Atiku Abubakar is the only one who has been vice president and who was entrusted with vast responsibilities while he was in office. So for me and for a number of Nigerians, we believe that he is the most prepared, he is the most competent, and he is the most experienced to be president in 2023.
But what do you think was his mistake the 5 times that he tried to become president and failed?
Well, I think we would. For me, it had to do with the political climate not being right at the various periods where he contested. In 2007, he contested and he was supported by Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu, who's the APC candidate today, was one of the chief promoters of the Atiku for President project in 2007. In 2019, he ran with Peter Obi, and Peter Obi supported him. He was the chief promoter also at that time in 2019 of the Atiku for President campaign. In the same year, Rabiu Kwakwanso was also his chief promoter to be president. So I think all these points to one thing, that every top contender in this race at one point or the other have all campaigned for Atiku Abubakar to be president, and that's a testimony to the kind of person that he is. For me, the mistakes over the years have been mainly because the political climate was not right. In 2023, we believe that now more than ever, if the issue is expanded beyond ethnicity and religion, now more than ever, Nigeria deserves a president who is most experienced to be at the helm of affairs and to govern Nigeria from May 29 next year.
Okay, we will come back and talk about the ethnicity issue. But now we go to Akin. We wanted to know from you, Akin. Many are saying that the change candidate, that is Peter Obi, has been around in Nigeria's political scene, but the good number of people, especially online users, are arguing that he is the man to transform Nigeria. What do you think he is the best? Why do you think he's the best man suited for the job?
Thanks for having me. Apologies for the poor audio. So Peter Obi, again, looking at his track record, coming from the private sector, going into business, again, as a diasporan, establishing himself in a foreign country, building wealth, relocating back to Nigeria, establishing businesses, looking at the landscape and saying, how can I contribute, transform my state of Anambra, into a top state in the area of education? How do I bring into a corrupt system good governance, eliminating waste, fraud, abuse, restoring confidence in the people with, showing exemplary leadership through cost-cutting measures, cost savings, and seeing that he can leave behind a state for future governors to build, his again, what I call long-term vision. Um, if you've heard from my two colleagues here, you keep hearing them referring to the fact that their candidates have been around for a long time. And I think we need a Nigeria where we depart from just having politicians, who I call career politicians, continue to cycle themselves within a system. Yes, there's equally the argument that Peter Obi was once in the PDP, but again, remember, he was a two-term governor, a governor that suffered impeachment, uh, being a minority in his own state. When you look at the political landscape, it's something you ought to basically appreciate, because even with the challenges he faced, he was able to implement transformational projects and policies. So I like to equally say that at this point, Nigeria needs a brain box. We don't need more politicians. And you hear my colleagues here talk about, again, perhaps Mr. Ayobami reference his candidate's ability to develop people, and they keep pointing to, again, politicians who he's groomed, and they've made that some form of accomplishment. We don't need more politicians in Nigeria. We need people that are willing to serve and govern. Now, the last thing I probably want to even highlight is the fact that as we go into 2023, you've seen Peter Obi excite the young base, the electorate of new voters, individuals who've never participated in the political process are finding themselves being energized. You call it euphoria, some people say they are aloof, but then guess what? Poll after poll in recent days or weeks shows you he's far ahead. Something is happening. There's a seismic shift in the political landscape, and going into 2023, I think there will be a departure from the old, where we usher in a new era of politics, one where people are not financially induced to vote, one in which young Nigerians would volunteer, like you're seeing with the rallies. They would donate to the candidate, and they would say, you know what, for once, we will turn out en masse and offer a tsunami of votes at the polls.
Mm-hmm. Right. Ayobami, do you want to answer that before I ask the next question?
Well, have you unmuted my mic?
Yes, we can hear you.
I like Akin. He's my brother. He's a Yoruba man, so it's making me to laugh. You see, when you people want to create a persona for somebody who was in the system all this while, I laugh, because I see Demola laughing too, because it's a funny thing. This guy was a governor, two-time governor, that has no established track record you can point to as success. He left his party where he swore that if he ever leaves, he should die. And that is not a politician. He's a good man from heaven who lied to the people that he would never leave the party. Then the moment he left government house, he rushed to the PDP. He was a special advisor to the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. They were the one who misadvised him to sell our power system to very criminal people who don't know how to manage power, that we are still suffering over today. And he's not a career politician, but he was the vice presidential candidate to Atiku last year. You see, you don't quote these people in a gap. Let's talk about, if we want to begin to look for angels and demons, we'll find plenty of them. Let us talk about what people have done and what they can do. Trying to paint a man who was part of every problem we've had as an angel who just came from heaven and is not part of them, it's the most is the most diabolical argument I've ever seen in my life. Peter Obi is as more a politician like the rest of them, like any other person. He was a guy who left his party, who till today, people that he left in Afghanistan are still angry. He has always been in politics since the day he joined them as a politician. So trying to make him look like he came from heaven is a very funny thing. So clearly, I am not here to look for an angel and a demon. So I'm not going to try to demonize Peter Obi. I will just tell people, let's stop quoting this man in a gap that he does not belong to. Just 3 years ago, he was with Atiku saying all the good things about Atiku that you can imagine. We still have videos. And suddenly he's a different breed. Oh no, come on, let's not lie to Nigerians. He's just as much a Bajan like any other person. The only difference is that he knows how to, a good snake oil salesman, tell them what they want to hear, get people angry, tell them, see our problem, see our problem, see our problem. But you were part of the leaders who created this problem. So what Nigeria needs today is a steady hand of a man who, yes, is a politician, but beyond being a politician, has the capacity to develop an economic system that will work, has the capacity to build human capital with what he has done in the past. Those are the things we are looking for, not looking for an angel and demons. It doesn't work that way because clearly human beings will do like that.
Can I respond?
Sure, you can respond, Akin.
All right. So again, I many people will find it dishonest and deceitful when they hear this remark that, oh, Peter Obi is a politician like the rest of them. There's always this attempt to grab him and insert him in the same basket as this, what I call corrupt political establishment, right? And it's sad that you will sit there and say, oh, he's a politician, a good snake oil salesman, and all of the, again, euphemisms that they used to color people in a poor light. I will say this to you on record. Not one candidate since 1993 in the history of Nigeria, save for a Muhammadu Buhari, again, who you know the region, voted for overwhelmingly with alliance of Southwestern politicians and what I also call the Judas 8. We can come back to that later. 2022, you have a Peter Obi who has excited a young base, a demography that we would often ridicule and say, oh, all they do is focus on Big Brother Africa, all they do is focus on Big Brother Nigeria, and he's making them come to the polls, he's making them join the political process. You can't tell me a snake oil salesman is capable of exciting this huge demography that was never interested in politics. Now, you talk about voter apathy in Nigeria. For the first time in Nigeria, you're seeing a lot of excitement. And I'm saying this because you don't manufacture emotions. People have to feel a certain way. Let's go back to Bola Tinubu, the great politician, the great HR manager that sourced for Nigeria 7 years ago, a President Muhammadu Buhari, who's a colossal failure. You take old wine, put a new bottle, and you bubble wrap it, and you sell it to Nigerians as a glorious package. No, let me end on one point. If Bola Tinubu was such a great political mastermind and a great administrator, you can count over 30% of the cabinet members in Buhari's administration that he handpicked. What has been the result the last 7 years? 53.4 million people unemployed, runaway inflation, GDP in the gutter, internal security at its worst. You can't travel by road. The average household has seen net worth loss of over 7%. But this great man, Bola Tinubu, that poured cement into the Atlantic Ocean and built Lagos, is such a great figure that we ought to reward him with the presidency of Nigeria. I reject it.
Okay. Now, I think this calls for another separate live, yeah? Ayobami and Akin, the two of you, just to talk about this particular issue, but we need to move on because we really don't have so much time. So I'm just going to play some clips from each candidate, then we'll talk about them, right? In no particular order.
My dear fellow beloved citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and our friends across the world, Nigeria stands on the threshold of history as we begin the historic race of soliciting votes from our electorate as permitted by law. In fact, it is safe to say that the greatest thing that the APC government will be remembered for is how it failed to maintain the integrity of our unity and how it has put a knife between the things that hitherto held us together. I come with very strong determination and commitment to rescue Nigeria, unify her people, and rebuild the now broken bridges of brotherhood which our founding fathers labored to erect.
For me, I thank all of you, wonderful people. As I've always said, and you maintain that, and that you are not running for president. You are running for president through us. Our job is to take the power from those who have it and give it back to you.
Border registration. Class 36 minus 4.
You are my concern. That is why I'm running. You, your children, your grandchildren, the future of Nigeria, the unity of this country, the togetherness of our future. So that we can build a nation we'll be proud of.
Okay, so those are from all, well, not all, but the three top contenders of the Nigeria elections 2023. Now, gentlemen, I have one question for all of you after we've watched those clips. Do you believe that electioneering must go beyond the usual "I will" and be elevated to "how I will"? You all agreed to come and speak about your candidates. I heard you all say he will now. Can you tell us how you think they will? Let me start with you, Demola. Is he with us? Can you unmute yourself, Demola, and
Unmute your camera. Unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Okay, can I go on now?
yes.
Right. Okay, right. So I was quite enjoying the back and forth between I think what we need to the question as regards "I will." When Atiku Abubakar says "I will," the major commitment that he is making is in terms of his 5-point agenda, which he has put out publicly as a manifesto. Again, I remind our viewers that no other candidate in this race has put out a public manifesto which Nigerians can access on the internet to evaluate what they are going to do. Again, I would say that Atiku Abubakar's ideas are not heavy on the use of "I will." He says it more in terms of the firm commitment he's making is that he will devolve powers from the Senate, different from what every other candidate is promising at this point. Other candidates are saying that they will do this, they will do that, because again, like I pointed out when I spoke first, this is the same pattern that Nigeria has run in. It's the same cyclical pattern right from the beginning of our independence. You had a government come in and try to use the powers of the center to fix the entire whole. It has never worked and it will not work. Even if you bring a Messiah from heaven, it will not work, because Nigeria is not running the way Nigeria is supposed to run. What Peter Obi is saying, what Bola Tinubu is saying, is that when they get to Abuja, they will use the powers of the president to fix this, to fix that. What Atiku Abubakar is saying is this: I will come into Abuja and I will devolve powers from the center to the constituent units so that Nigeria can run structuring. Again, I think we should understand that while it is very easy and convenient for other candidates in this race to play up their ethnicity, it is not convenient for Atiku Abubakar to do that, because Atiku
Demola,
Abubakar is a Fulani Muslim
unfortunately, I don't know, your internet must
who
be,
is
there
attempting
is
to take
issues.
over from a Fulani Muslim. There's an entitlement mentality on the other side, and there's a bit of um, centeredness on themselves. That is why Atiku Abubakar is the only candidate who is offering
Sorry, unfortunately, Demola, I have to mute you.
as
We cannot hear you.
an agenda. Is the only one who has put it out publicly. Is the only one who has been consistent on the subject. A key southern demand, what we like to refer to as the south of Nigeria now. It's a key southern demand. Southerners have been saying, let power devolve, let the constitution. So what Atiku Abubakar is saying is not so much of I will. I want to work that some candidates.
Okay, who wants to take the question next? Ayo.
Let Akin speak. I'm still
Okay, Akin.
So
choking.
I say this because it will be dangerous for anyone to sit in a chair and act as if they can solve Nigeria's problems or offer solutions without occupying the seat. Of course, you have to run for office. You have to tender your CV. You have to tell Nigerians why you are the CEO that's expected to occupy the office and fix the problem. Peter Obi has all the qualifications to make of a great president. If you heard him in his video, I am running for president of Nigeria through you. And you not heard that kind of communication from Nigerian politicians in a long time, because for many of them it's all about themselves. It's all about their cronies. It's all about having a government that, thrives on patronage. For many, it's about making Nigeria, me and sons, as they've done with states. And, it's even remarkable that Peter Obi's made comments like, if you've ever heard or have evidence of a family member obtaining government contracts or receiving patronage through me, bring it up and I will quit running for office. Nobody stood up. I doubt any of the two other candidates standing tall on a platform and repeating the same words. Talk about competency. For many of the two candidates, I doubt if they can even sit down on a laptop and operate Microsoft Excel, crunching numbers for a country that is dead broke, 14 trillion naira in debt. They probably find, I'm sorry, they probably find that funny, but it's not about going to KPMG, Deloitte, or Accenture and writing up a glorious manifesto. You find it brilliant, undergraduate, intern, or associate to write you fancy words. No, none of that. He's saying, I want to sit in a chair and use my brain, not proxy brains. My brain understand problems. As we profile solutions with a team, I can understand what it takes to implement. Now you have a country where with a sitting president Buhari, and it's interesting. Only a Bola Tinubu can sit in a chair today and say, I don't need to wait to get to Aso Rock to fix Nigeria's problems. He is the de facto head of the APC. He controls the party's agendas. He endorses nominees for offices, 1,487 seats, parastatals, agencies. So he's the only one that can sit in a chair and say, hey, these are solutions General Buhari implement. But no, he kept those good ideas to himself. What a stingy man. You
But
would imagine.
talk about your candidate. Ayo will talk about.
And I'm going to do that. But then rather you have a Peter Obi that has taken upon himself to travel to different countries to study how they fix problems. Countries smaller than Nigeria, but then we're able to use very meager resources to solve power issues. We want a president that is willing to do the work, can wake up 7 in the morning and go to bed at 3 in the morning and still wake up.
But how do you know that Tinubu and Atiku are not doing that?
I mean, you played a video of an aircraft taking off as part of his campaign introduction. I doubt from takeoff to mid-flight if you can even stay awake. So I don't want to go on talking about whether he has the capacity to stay up during long meetings, but we can see it for what it is. Give us a Nigeria with a president that would show up to work and do the difficult work on a daily basis. Now, of the two candidates, I'm an entrepreneur. I love people that build wealth. Bola Tinubu has done great in his life. I think for his family, he's an amazing figure. But then when you're looking at a country like Nigeria, for where his party has taken the country to in the last 7 years, as the HR manager, he hired a Buhari. You cannot tell me a bad HR manager should sack the CEO and then you're going to reward the HR manager with that share of the office. No way, man. It doesn't work that way. So anyways, I'd love to hear what they both have to say because I think for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, equally, he's an inspiring figure. You can't take that away from him. One-time vice president. I'll call him serial candidate. You would wonder what he left in Aso Rock that he's trying to go back to collect or retrieve from the office. I think we need a departure from establishment politicians for a Nigeria that my children and the generations unborn will benefit from. Give me a president that understands fintech, cryptocurrency, blockchain. A president that, again, can use Microsoft Excel and crunch macros. Thank you.
Thank you, Akin. Now, Ayo.
This is the problem I have with Peter Obi's stand. You see, their candidate is a sophist. So the best thing they do is to throw mud at everybody. You see, when I came here, I said I would try not to paint angel and demon's picture. So, you see, he told us all the great things Peter Obi would do. But maybe you should ask him to go to Anambra State Monday morning to go and tell the people that thing on the street, what he just said. That is the Anambra that Peter Obi left. I'm sure if he's not abroad, he's probably in Lagos. That's Tinubu's Lagos. But I paused there. Let me talk about my candidate. You have played a video and you want everyone to tell us what their candidate can do. And I'm very happy with what Demola
No,
did.
how they will.
Yeah, don't worry. I know, yeah. Demola has told you what his candidate intends to do by his manifesto, and I'm proud of that. That is what we are looking at. He didn't come here to pour mud on any other person. So I'm going to follow Demola's example. I won't follow the mob example, online mob people who always attack other people because they really don't have anything to sell. So I'll tell you what my candidate intends to do. Yeah, we know that the practical thing to do is to build a team. And right now, our team, because of the fact that we are the ruling party, clearly there's a lot of interest in whatever we do. So we are bringing out the list of our campaign council. And as soon as the list of the campaign council comes out, I think next week, the full campaign council, we will have our manifesto on ground. The manifesto will also talk about the how and the yes, the what and the how. So our manifesto will clearly detail the plans that we have to solve each problem as we will enumerate them. So the manifesto that the APC will be releasing in the next couple of days, because I try to find out when it is going to be out, and I'm told it's already ready, just being vetted. So the manifesto will clearly detail every area of the Nigerian system and the exact way we intend to go about it. We will not tell people that we will give you power, because we know it's a lie. When you go into that office, it's an executive office. You will have to run based on the law of the land. You cannot tell people that I will do this, I will give it to you. You can't give anything to anybody. What you will do there is you are going to hold the power and trust for the people, and you will do it for the people the way it should be done. What our candidate intends to do is an experienced man who knows what the issues are, and by the grace of God, we will clearly enumerate what the issues are and what we intend to do. And in terms of saying Bola Tinubu should be blamed for Buhari, I think it's very funny. Buhari is the executive president of Nigeria. No, you can advise if you wish, but I remember President Obasanjo said something about you being an advisor, but he as the executive person to take the advice or not take the advice. So for us, we are not going to sit here and start looking for faults, abusing other people. We're just going to address Nigerians. Most of the people who are following the Peter Obi crowd are young people. They have never seen anything. They are just born in anger, and everything for them is about anger, it's about abusing people, it's about insulting people. So we'll try to deviate from such area because we have better things to sell. Bola Tinubu will speak to Nigerians clearly on the problems, the issues, and the way he intends to tackle them. And the document will be out in the next, I think next week, hopefully. Thank
But
you.
you just said that the Peter Obi's people are the young people. They've not seen anything. But you know, the young people are the voters.
Well, the problem, see, let me explain something to you. You don't know how Nigeria demography works. The ones who are online are very, very raucous. They can make plenty noise. They can insult everybody. They've been insulting me. I'm even seeing some of them, which is their way of life. It's fine for me. But you see, we are looking beyond online crowd. There are genuine human beings in the hinterland everywhere who will not join online insult, who have a voters card, and who will vote when the election comes. We have a big number of young people who we have
Demola, can you
trained.
mute yourself? I'm failing to mute you, please. Sorry.
We have a lot of young people whom we have also trained too. We have our own young people too, but you will not see them coming to attack people because we have told them it's not a noise making exercise. It's not image bashing exercise. It's about our country. Because when the chips are down, we need to understand one thing. Only one man will win this election when next year comes. We do not want to create such schism, such division, that it will now become very difficult to unify the country. So we are trying to, and if you remember, just about 2 weeks ago, our candidate said something, lower the temperature, reduce the noise, because we have a country to build. Akin is my brother, whether he likes it or not. He's a Yoruba man, he's a Nigerian. Demola is my brother. Every other person is my. So if we come here, fight each other, abuse each other, say all these horrible things to ourselves, and then when elections are won and lost, do we stop being Nigerians because our candidate did not win? I think people need to understand that. So Nigerians need to understand that we have a country to build. Can I answer some of this thing I'm looking at now?
Yes, I'm putting it for you guys. I'm happy
Let me
that
quickly answer this, Paul Animun. You see, Nigeria is not an island. Many people need to understand that clearly. We have a global issue that the whole world is dealing with. We just got out of a COVID problem that we have not sorted. The whole world is going through it. And I think that is not bad enough. We have the Russia-Ukraine war that is creating such energy crisis that the entire world, since I was born, the dollar has always had over 40, 50, even at the time, maybe 80% value over the pound over the dollars. As I speak to you today, the pound is probably lesser than the dollar. So there's a problem, but the Nigerian people have been fed to think our problem is just Nigeria, is not a world problem. So a lot of them, I can see their names and I understand that's where they come from, and that's how they are. Everything about them is to just pretend that Nigeria is in another planet. Of Nigeria is just Nigeria. The entire world has a problem. Whether you believe it or not, you can go read on the internet. Check out what is going on in Britain. Check out what is going on in every other part of the world, even in our neighboring countries, in Ghana, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Benin Republic. So I will not join them to get myself in the mud, because if you go to into the pig's tree, you can never be the pig in his pig's tree. So I will not do that to myself. I will let it be an issue-based campaign where we talked about the things that we will do and the things we hope to do.
Okay. Now,
So can we talk
gentlemen.
about Josey? So if you notice, they dance around the issue and they absolve themselves of any responsibility. The average Nigerian is 5 times poorer than he was 7 years ago. If you earn 100,000 naira 6 years ago, you could afford 5 plane tickets in a month. Today, you cannot afford 1 plane ticket. But there he sits, telling you that, oh, every country across the world is going through hardships as a result of COVID. He sits there and would not remind you that his party, the APC, is the party responsible for Nigeria's predicament. He will sit there and tell you these young people on their mobile phones online should be in classrooms. But rather you have people in his party graduating their children from foreign universities. He will sit there and tell you Nigerians that are angry and toxic and spewing hate are probably the worst breed of Nigerians and don't want to see the next Nigerian walk the earth with them. That is false. That is far from reality. Nigerians are frustrated. How can you live in poverty? You feel like your future is hopeless. They call you the future of tomorrow, but they're not educating you today, but they expect you to be polite when you talk to them. That's insanity. You're not polite to your oppressor. Understand it. This APC government, this regime, its candidates for 2023 are the architects of our misery. When someone makes you miserable, you don't smile to them and offer them breakfast in the morning. So listen, there's equally this toxic label they're trying to apply to Labour Party members, or perhaps obedience, as you call them. It's just a poor attempt to gaslight. Nigerians are not so happy, so they would communicate because they are frustrated. The average household today cannot wake up feeling like they have a future they can guarantee for their unborn kids or even children walking around the household. There's a lot of strife in Nigerian homes. You can't go to sleep at night in many corners of the country and feel like you would wake up to see the next morning. But they want you to see them online and smile and offer them
Okay.
cookies.
We really need to
No, far
round
from it.
up. Yes, thank you so much. Now we need to round up, but I just have two more questions for all of you gentlemen. Will this upcoming polls be issue based or transactional? Is the money factor something we can run away when it comes to Nigerian elections? Who wants to take it first?
Is the money what? I didn't catch that completely.
Okay. Will this upcoming polls be issue based or transactional? Is the money factor something we can run away from while discussing Nigerian elections?
So we will keep it to the issues. Peter Obi has been talking about from consumption to production. Tagline that a lot of people can resonate with. As you can understand, Nigeria is not a producing economy. Even in the oil and gas industry, where we would have seen a lot of growth, we've seen shrinkage. A lot of companies are selling their assets because Nigeria, when you look at our internal security, is no longer a place you can even feel like you're able to transact. You look at foreign investments being at its lowest in over 15 years. You look at the fact that, again, we call it the Japa syndrome. Many young people are fleeing the country in droves because they feel like Nigeria has no opportunities. You look at our educational sector, it is in an abysmal state. So yes, we will focus on the issues. And they have nothing to campaign about. They simply want to remain in the chair and remind you that you are being angry for challenging them to explain why we're in this predicament. So yes, we will focus on the issues, but more than anything, we will ask questions and we will ask very tough questions.
And Demola?
Yes, thank you, Jesse. I think the I'm kind of in the middle here because I understand both sides. PDP as a party that has been in power before. I understand the predicament of the APC, and then also as a party where we used to have Peter Obi and people like Akin himself, helping us with the campaign and various things back then. I understand both sides. You cannot deny the fact that young people are angry in Nigeria. You can't deny the fact that their lives are worse today than it was before. again, we ask ourselves, what is the solution? The solution will still come from the system. It has to be an established political party that understands the issues and can navigate the issues around Nigeria. We can't go about it naively. Yes, the anger is legitimate. Yes, we feel the retrogression. Yes, the Japa syndrome, for example, is very valid. And a
Demola,
lot
did
of us
you
are not
understand
happy
the
about it.
question?
Okay, we are also young people, and we are also not happy about it. Now, the question as to the monetary aspect of it, as to the monetary aspect of the election, well, I think it's a feature in Nigerian politics. It's something that we cannot run from. Some part of it will be heavy on the money issues. You need money to campaign. Basically, you need money to place adverts. You need money to get your messaging out there. But observe that the only campaign so far that has made an attempt to put out the issues is the Atiku Abubakar campaign. We are the only campaign that has the campaign manifesto that anybody in this conversation can go on the internet and access. So we are focused on making it an issues-based campaign, and it is obvious even from this conversation. The other political parties will keep on urging them to let us make the 2023 election an issues-based one, and not just a diatribe of your candidate is better than mine. Let's focus on the issues. I think the biggest issue is the one I've mentioned repeatedly, which is the devolution of powers. That unless you cannot talk about one man having executive powers to fix the entire country, it has never worked before. It will not work in 2023. Atiku Abubakar is the only one who is harping on the consistency of changing that system. And so we want it to be an issues-based election, but whether or not it is, I think is also up to the other political parties.
Apologies, I skipped the response about money. So if you notice, Labour Party, the obedient movement, only part of the electorate where you're seeing young people, average everyday Nigerians donating. Nigerians do not spend their money. For us, we're willing to promote a candidate we believe in. It's not about Ghana must go politics. It's not about bullion van politics. We're saying Nigerians will win the elections. And when I mean Nigerians, I mean the Labour Party supporters, the obedience. We will carry our candidate to victory.
All right. Yeah, we will try and for us, we'll make the election an issue-based campaign. We'll make the campaign rather an issue-based one, and we'll make the election about ability, not about just mere anger, like our Minister of Works and Housing said. Anger is not a strategy. Anger is good, but it's not a strategy. You don't go around burning things, getting angry, destroying things, and you think it's anger. So we'll make it about issues. And also, like Demola rightly said, we will, there are places where you can't run away from spending money. And, but aside from spending money in the right way, ensuring that we stick to the INEC guideline, we will also ensure that we already have the people power. We are represented in all local government, in all wards. So we will make use of the machinery of our people to ensure that our messaging gets to the nooks and crannies of Nigeria. We will speak to people in every language, in every dialect, let them understand that it's not a noise-making exercise. It is an exercise in nation building. So we will ensure that we build Nigeria together with our people and give them the Nigeria that they want. So our campaign, our messaging and everything is going to be completely issue-based, focused on issues, and ensure that we stick within the dictates of the law. Thank you.
Now, before I let you gentlemen go, it's a Friday today. Ethnicity has been identified as a major factor in the lead up to these elections. How will the candidates make sure that they avoid it? Ayo, you can start since you just...
I will just say that for us, we will speak to Nigerians, like I said, that we're all one Nigeria. You remember the first thing I said here was that we're all Nigerians. And when the election is won and lost, we will still be one Nigerian. So for us and our candidate, he has demonstrated even when he didn't need to, as a governor, his cabinet was a reflection of Nigeria. So we will continue in that trajectory, ensuring that every Nigeria is a stakeholder in the Nigerian project. So for us, it is not an issue. We are Nigerians, and we understand that we do not want to rule over a divided Nigeria. We want to rule over a Nigeria that is united and focused.
Thank you. Demola?
Uh, Thank you, Jesse. For us, we believe that the reason why our campaign must be disciplined in focusing on issues is because we are the only ones who are not approaching this with an ethnic entitlement mentality. The incumbent president is a Fulani Muslim. Our candidate is also a Fulani Muslim. So we are not saying vote for us because we are Fulani Muslim. Some are saying Emilokon, it's a Yoruba phrase that means it's my turn on the basis of being Yoruba from the southwest of Nigeria. There's also the other candidate, Peter Obi, saying it is the turn of the southeast. So they can play up those ethnic issues. We cannot. And that's why we are emphasizing issues, because that's the major selling point that we have. That's why we are emphasizing devolution of powers. That's why, when I came here, the first thing I said was I mentioned the Atiku manifesto, which is unity seed. Unity is the first word, because Atiku Abubakar believes that unless you have a united Nigeria, you cannot have anything else. And the last D is what someone mentioned in the comments, which I'll just round up with, that you cannot keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Every other candidate is saying, vote for us because it is our turn. We'll get to Abuja, we'll harness powers for the benefit of our own region. Atiku Abubakar is the only one, and that's how it has always been. Atiku Abubakar is the only candidate in this race who is saying, I do not just want to be the man with the power, I want to devolve powers to the constituent units at the state level and at the local government level. And we believe that, this messaging is going to scale. We believe we do not need to play up ethnic issues in this election. We believe we do not need to resort to dividing the country into north and south. We believe very strongly that our issues will resonate with Nigerians, even those who are angry and even those who are part of the establishment, and would emerge as winners come next year.
Thank you. Akin?
All right, so I think I find it laughable. Some would say our candidate, Peter Obi, is promoting himself as an ethnic candidate when he has said it time without number. Don't vote for me because I'm an Igbo man or I'm from the southeast, but rather vote for me based on my competency, my character, and my ability to deliver. Rather, you have the APC candidate, the first major speech he will give as part of him bullying his way through the primary process, speaking Yoruba, hollering and having all kinds of dramatic or theatrics, shouting Emilokon and, mocking a sitting president, saying Olule, meaning he hit the floor. And then this candidate, all of this campaign mantra, the only words you see on big billboards all over the nation as he goes on a speaking tour is him speaking Yoruba. My name is Akin. I'm from Ile-Ife, but I'm embarrassed that an elder statesman, one who they believe has so much political experience and sagacity, would resort to ethnic politics as a way of shoring off his base is simply embarrassing. Our candidate, on the other hand, understands that he has an uphill battle, and what you see is him making inroads across communities, across demographies, young to old, even in regions where they don't even speak the English language. I am proud of Peter Obi. I am proud of the Labour Party, a brand new party, by the way, off the shelf, not new, but when I say new, a new party that has joined the ranks of the establishment parties as a third party in less than a year, and you've only seen diversity as part of how they've chosen to operate this campaign. I'm proud of what we've done. It only tells you that for a Peter Obi presidency, you would have the most diverse cabinet you can obviously imagine. On the issue of religion, which again we didn't touch on, he's the only candidate that has not used his religion to promote himself to the highest office. So when you talk about equity and fairness and making sure that we have equal opportunity, he has a very well-balanced ticket. And my friend Demola talked about his candidate being the true unifier. But then what did you do? You look at a region, you look at a
I didn't even mention unifier.
Yeah, so you call him unifier. You did call him unifier. You said that somewhere. But perhaps I might be wrong. But then I say this because
No, he is. You just know he is.
Okay, gentlemen. Thank you. thank you so much for joining us here on DW Africa. I really appreciate you obviously sharing with us what your candidates are promising the people of Nigeria. I mean, even the whole of Africa is also watching how those elections will pan out. But I thank you so much for joining us today here on DW Africa. Any parting words before we end the live? We are already running into over 1 hour.
Thank you very much for having me, Josey. Thank you to all patriots. Thank you to all compatriots.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you have it, Africa. We were speaking to representatives of the Nigerian candidates as the elections will be coming up in 2023, 25th of February to be precise. But until next time, we'll be bringing you another live chat here on DW Africa. I'm your host, Josey Mahachi. Have a great weekend.